Hello and good evening to another Dragons Racing Team race. Today we are racing on the Route Ocean Lava Cliffside Loop. As you can see, I've added the elevation profile in the bottom. So we start with a more or less flat run-in for a few kilometers. After 3-4 kilometers, have a short downhill, short flat part. Then a first small incline before we come at 10 kilometers to the main hill. It's very steep, but not very long, but long enough to actually be able to drop the heavier guys or those who cannot put out really high watts per kilogram. So that's a little bit the route. Then we have a little bit more shallow downhill followed by a steep downhill, and then the last 5 kilometers are more or less flat. We're going through the tunnels before we finish again at the city loop where we just started. So the route is relatively interesting, I would say, with this steep, longer kicker or short hill. That definitely will be a decisive point of the race. As you can see, we always start brutally in Zwift races, and this one is no different. I think we are around 15 people in the A group. Around half of them are from the team, so we have I think 5-6 guys from the Dragons racing today. And the clear favorite is Klaus Kirchfeld, who is crazy strong, and I'm pretty sure that his plan was to get away on the hill, trying to drop or split the rest of the field, maybe even attack a little bit earlier to split them already. So as you can imagine, because we have quite a lot of people from our team, the idea is of course also to race a little bit tactically, which means if you have one guy attacking in the front, you may be not the one who's pulling the rest of the group back. So you always need to watch out a little bit what's going on, what's happening in the race, to be able to, I would say, race hard, but also race smart. Because if you're racing in a team, that's the idea, to kind of support each other and maybe pull back brakes if you from the team are not in it. And if one of you is in the break, then maybe hold back a little bit, or only attack when you're sure that you can actually drop the rest of the group to get also into the break. And we already have here a few people trying to pull away. So one of them was Klaus Kirchfeld from our team. So we're not pushing to follow, but if other guys following, then we're hanging onto their wheel. Trying to stay with the attackers, or those who try to chase without actually chasing ourselves. Got a little bit of Wi-Fi problems, so there's a little bit of lag for a few minutes or a few seconds of the race. But I would say, looking back, it was a fun route. It was hard, but which Zwift race is not hard. So here we have one guy who was pulling away a little bit, so I went on to the chase and helped the group to stay on the wheels. At the beginning here, my heart rate is still relatively low, with around 150, but that will change relatively quickly, as it always does in the Zwift races. Let's talk a little bit about the route and the bike choice, because bike choice is always tricky in Zwift races. I mean, there's races where bike choice is very easy, which, for example, is if you do a time trial up Alpe du Zwift, you go for the fastest climbing bike, something like maybe a S-Works Tarmac with a lightweight Meilenstein wheels. Or if you're racing in Tempus Fugit or the TikTok route, or anything that is super flat, you go for the fastest possible setup. And I think that is still the S-Works Venge, together with a DT Swiss disc wheel in the back and normal DT Swiss wheels in the front. But if you have races like we have today, it's tricky because do you choose the bike for the climb or that you can attack, or do you think that you need something very fast for the latter part of the course, or you think you can maybe get away on the first part of the course and then have a gap before the climb that a little bit more weight maybe doesn't matter. So actually bike choice is something that really is important in Zwift races, and that can really affect your result, as it did today for me. Because so my ideal race scenario was that I can maybe stay with the main pack until the beginning of the climb, because I will definitely not be able to get away, and I'm not so strong that I can really pull away on the climb. But I can survive in the main pack in most of the A races. But so that's my plan. So the idea was that I pick a little bit lighter bike. I will stay in the draft for the first 10 kilometers. Then because of the lighter bike, I will be able to maybe get with the main group over the hill. And then I will stay with the main group for the rest of the race, or the main chase pack or something like that, until the finish. And then we'll see who has anything left in the legs to maybe a reduced group size sprint to the end. So that was the plan. So I picked actually the Pinarello Dogma F, which is a very good all-round bike. So it's not the lightest to go uphill like maybe the S-Works Athos, which is superb for the climbs. But it's relatively light and it's relatively aero. So it's a good all-rounder that should be okay to ride on both terrains, or the flat and the shorter hills. For the wheels, I used the DT Swiss. I think it's the ARC 62, which according to the tests that were done also showed to be a very good all-rounder. So that was the idea that I had. So I ride with the group till the climb, then pull hard on the climb so I don't get dropped, and then will stay with the group and enjoy a bit of draft until the finish. So here we see the big attack from Klaus that was I guess planned, but he attacked on the dirt, managed to pull away, and then we see the field exploding, stringing out, getting snaky, and we're pushing up here with 7 watts per kilogram, just to stay with the chase group or the chase pack. We see Klaus pulling over 8 watts per kilogram 4 times, and manages to get away. And I think we have 1 or 2 guys who actually try to follow. I'm in the front part of the chase pack. Heart rate already at over 160. I'm pulling over 500 watts at times. So very very hard. And that was my fifth day of riding in a row over 2 hours every day. So I'm putting a high volume week in, also going running every day. So my legs were not great, but I would say better than expected. So that was the big attack that happened. We have Klaus who got away. I think we have 1 more guy not yet behind. But that I think was to happen soon, we're still going up, not that much, just around 4%, before we're hitting the first little downhill, which I very much needed, because my legs were absolutely screaming already, and of course I didn't want to use the feather power up, because I was actually quite happy to have one, so I could use it on the main climb of the race. So I was trying to get a little bit recovery, a little bit of soft pedaling on the downhill. You see that my power is still relatively high, but here taking a breather, getting rid of a bit of fat, and just pushing around 270 to 80 watts, which is far below the average of the race. I think the total average was around 355, including some downhills where I wasn't pedaling, and the normalized power was around 365 for almost half an hour. So a pretty hard race. And now we're getting closer to the key segment or key part of the race, which is the main climb. So before we get there, maybe 2-3 words about what's the purpose of these races. Of course, it's to have fun. It's a great VO2 max session. It's great training. So that is maybe the key aspect for me racing. But of course, it's also a race for the team, just to battle out a bit between each other, but also to have other teams or other potential riders joining us who maybe want to race with the team and want to show that they can race well, that they're strong enough to contribute to the team. About the team strength, the team is super strong. It is one of the strongest teams in Zwift and the amateurs. I would say that I'm a fairly decent rider with around 350, 360 watts FDP, and I'm I think 25th in the team when it comes to the race ranking. So there's loads of people in the team who are significantly stronger than myself. Maybe not over 2-3 hours, but in Zwift races, what really counts is knowing how to utilize the race dynamics and having a really strong sprint and a good punch to be able to attack in the race. So here we see that we have actually 3 people who are up ahead, and we are the main chase pack. And as you can see, we're not riding in the front because we have one of our guys in the front of the race. So we are trying to stay a little bit defensive and staying with the guys, but not trying to pull back the brake to the front of the field, because we think that if Klaus, our guy, will stay in the front, he actually has a good chance to win the race. So that is a little bit the tactics. So here you can see where we're going. It's uphill, it's steep. I think it goes to 10-11%, and it's usually not something for me. But yeah, we'll see, because I do have a lighter bike than most of the other people here, and I do have a feather power up, so that will definitely help me to push a good pace up the hill. I can't remember exactly how long the climb was. I think it was around 1.5 kilometers or something. So it's 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes climb in total, maybe even a little bit less. But it starts relatively steep from the very beginning, and then so here we see we're up to 7, 9, 10%, and it hurts. It really hurts. Power is going up, pushing around 500, over 500 watts. It's just around 7 watts per kilogram for me. And we have a small group who is actually getting a little bit away, and close to 600 watts now. Heart rate is climbing, and I think that's now when I use my power up. So I'm trying to pull away with the group, and then actually I realized, the others maybe are also not magicians, and we're all in Germany, we're all cooking with water. So I realized, I can actually stay with the front of the chase group here, but at what cost? Because my heart rate is absolutely skyrocketing. Here we are at 180, which is only 10 beats below my max heart rate, and I still have like 10 kilometers of racing to go, which is not good. But yeah, that's the Zwift racing. It's suffering. It's enduring the lactate building up in your legs, and trying to find like micro breaks where you can maybe recover a little bit without losing too much pressure on the pedals. That is maybe the very thin line that you're dancing on when you do Zwift races, is pushing hard, then reducing the effort a little bit, but not so much that you're actually getting slow. but just trying to get some micro recovery time in. Like you see here now, it's around 320 watts, which is not very high, but it helps me to recover a little bit before pushing back again. But you see here the main issue for the rest of the race, because we have the small group in the front that is battling out for the win. And then we have two guys or three guys actually, who are in front of me. So I'm hanging in 7th place, and I have two guys behind me, which are 8-9 seconds behind me. So I need to think about what's now the best thing to do. I'm not sure I'm strong enough to actually pull back the 4 or 5 seconds in front, because I'm absolutely on the limit after the climb. So should I have waited for the two guys in the back and maybe try to get to the front together? Or should I stay where I am now and try to just survive and get into the finish line in nice top 10 or 7th place? Or will I be able to really pull myself apart and try to get to the two guys in front of me? And I tried that a little bit. As you see, I was back to over 500 watts and really trying to push hard, because over 400 watts for me really hurt. But I seem to get a little bit closer. I mean, we're talking like 3 seconds, 2 seconds at times, but I'm just not getting there. It's there is always too big of a gap in between us, that I'm actually not managing to get there. And so that actually stays like that until the finish. I mean, you see, I'm pulling myself apart. It was a really hard race, my legs were burning, and I'm so close. I mean, 2 seconds. It sounds so little, but to pull back a break of 2 seconds when the guy in front of you are also pushing at 5-6 watts per kilogram is not easy. It's not easy. So I'm always in between, like pulling as hard as I can or pushing as hard as I can, and at the same time trying to recover that I don't blow up completely, because I have two guys chasing behind me with 5 watts per kilogram as well. So it was an interesting game, trying to go to the one or the others. But so I stayed in the middle between both, and then we come back to the bike choice, because I do not have the right bike for the last 7-8 kilometers, because I have not the most aero bike. I don't have the most aero wheels. The two guys in front of me are on the Tron Bike, which is maybe a little bit slower on the climb where we are or where we were. But it's definitely faster on the whole rest of the course. So I would need to push harder than them to not only get there, but also just to ride at the same pace than them. And I know that the two guys behind me, I think if I remember correctly, they were on the S-Works bench with the DT Swiss disc wheel. So also a faster setup. So I knew that, okay, if I want to bring home the 7th place, I need to push harder than the guys in the front and harder than the guys in the back, without blowing up, to be able to cross the finish line in a good position. So that became my goal or my aim. So I always was monitoring, okay, what happens to the distance in front, what happens to the distance in the back. And I see that the distance in the back was growing a little bit since the hill to around 12 seconds, because I was pushing hard to get to the guys in the front. And the distance in the front stayed relatively stable at around 5 seconds. So we're now coming to the downhill part of the course, which meant that maybe not to get a big recovery, but at least it was a little bit easier. But on the same time, I also needed to pay attention to the guys in the back, because I know that my bike is less aero than theirs. So that was basically the story of the race. And now it was only about survival, trying to get a decent pace that will not completely destroy me. We have here the last bit of the uphill, and then the rest of the race is basically I wouldn't say cruising, but it is downhill. So we're here at -6, -7%. So the speed is high. We're over 50k an hour. So I know that the last part of the race has begun. We're maybe at 7-8 minutes before the finish line. And so now it was all about pacing well. You see that the heart rate also went down a bit. We're at 170. I'm riding at 90-95 cadence. So everything is more or less under control. And I know that I can ride at that pace in a good way for a longer period of time without completely destroying myself. But the guys in the front are gone. 8 seconds is no way or no chance that I can actually keep or get that back. The guys behind me with 13 seconds are also relatively safe from the gap. So that was it. It's just motoring home, trying to keep the legs working in a good way. And I would say for the downhill now, let's try to get a bit of recovery. So I'm trying to get into the super tag. So I stop pedaling. So the avatar will go into the super tag position, which is significantly more aero, and you're actually getting faster without pedaling on a steeper downhill. Because you're getting nice and low, nice and aero. There's no UCI here, so how would they say in GCN, the UCI has no jurisdiction here, so we can super tuck. And then important is just before the downhill ends to push back on the pedals, that you're not getting too slow too quickly, because you are not pedaling on the flat part. And you see that the gap went down a little bit again. So we're back on 5 seconds, but the guys in front know that as well. They see the gap, and they're pushing again 5-6 watts per kilogram. So there's not really any hope for me that I will pull that back. I can also see in the graph on the right that the two guys behind me are also not like pulling themselves apart to get back to me. So I think that everybody more or less accepted their position. Now the big question is just out of the top 3 in the front, who will win the race. Then we have the two guys behind fighting for the places 5 and 6, and then it is me who is 3 guys in front of me who are fighting for the 4th, 5th and 6th, so still can get the top 5. And then it is me trying to hold on to the 7th place, and then we have 2 guys behind me who will finish up the top 10, because the rest of the race is also 30 seconds back. So the places are more or less set. Now it's just about keeping a good rhythm. You see my cadence is relatively high, which is quite normal when I'm also racing in triathlons over 90 kilometers. My cadence is usually around 95, 96, which means that you put a little bit less torque on your in your pedal stroke, but a higher cadence is I think less fatiguing for your legs and also for your knees. It's more acceptable to deal with. So if you're riding at a low cadence, give it a try. Try to push the cadence up and see if you can work well with that, because it really seems to help me to be able to push out the high power without hurting my legs and my knees too much. Here we're coming to the end of the tunnel, where we have the last little kicker waiting for us after the corner, and then it is a rolling last 1.5 kilometers until the finish line. And it was tough, because I can hear again, I can see them. I see where they are. They seem so close, But yeah, with my 4.55 watts per kilogram, it's just not enough to get them back, especially being on a not on the fastest bike setup. But yeah, I actually was pretty happy that I managed to come into the finish in that position, and yeah, doing relatively well in the race. I did not improve my race ranking because the result was not good enough. So I think it was 130 points, so it was not low enough to improve it. But I think it was great fun, and yeah, I would say the course actually suited me maybe better or more than I was expecting. So here we have the last turn in the water with a short uphill, and yeah, I'll push one last time to get up that little kicker in a good way. So we're back at doing over 500 watts, or around 500, a little bit over 500, to not lose too much speed over that little climb, so staying around 40k an hour. And yeah, from here on it's basically yeah, you can smell the finish line already. So we got 1.2 kilometer to go, and you can see also in the profile there's not much happening anymore. We're on a 7-meter elevation, we're next to the water, and yeah, it's a little bit of rolling just before getting into the city or onto the beach promenade, or how you would call it. My heart rate is at almost 180. I realized, okay, there's no more threat from the back. They're 20 seconds back, and there's no more threat from me to the front, because they're 5 seconds, 8 seconds ahead. So yeah, I think things are settled. So there was also no reason for me to do any sprint. And yeah, so the overall very good race. Happy with the performance. And yeah, I think it's time to say thank you for watching. If you're still watching it, I hope you enjoyed the little suffer half an hour with me. Join us in one of the races. Really, if you're a strong rider, or if you just want to see how long you can hang on. I usually post on Instagram when we have the next races. So yeah, just race with us and have fun and push hard, because I think it makes you stronger. It makes you a stronger cyclist. Of course, it will not help you with bike handling because you're sitting on a trainer, but that you can work on outside. But I think for the winter, these Zwift races are superb exercises, and I really like them. So yeah, join us, have some fun racing with us. We're doing quite a lot of races, and I'm usually always doing the tiny races on Saturdays. So that's my next ones that I'm in, and yeah, otherwise join us for the next Dragons Racing Team race, which will be here on Zwift. Thanks for joining, subscribe, and bye bye.